So, hello. Making videos has become a little bit difficult or tedious at the beginning. Some people describe it as, oh, I've forgotten how to make a video. Like I've been watching Snake Plisskenist's videos. He says that after a while. But it's not so much that, but just that it's tedious. Like, to explain the setup. I want to talk about Sam Seder versus Jimmy Dore, and that's Hillary versus, say, progressives for Trump. Jimmy Dore's not for Trump, but he thinks that it'd be better for progressives and worse for Republicans if Trump was elected. As far as how bad Trump would do it, speaking for Jimmy, trying to improve, in my view, his argument, it's basically, the president isn't actually a totally autonomous ruler, and the Democrats could fight him. Now, Sam's attitude would be like, why do you think that would happen? And the Republicans will probably take away the filibuster and various stories, which are credible stories. But Jimmy, he didn't make this case in his debate with Sam. Sam's very good at debating. And don't assume where I stand on this, I'll say in a minute, on the issues. Right now I'm talking about the character of the debate in a more abstract way. Jimmy has said that, well, if Hillary's elected, we know the Clintons will side with the so-called moderate Republicans and the conservative Democrats, and the progressives get left out in the cold. Clintons are all about making, including Hillary, alliances DLC style, conservative Democrat. Whereas if Trump is elected, Dore had said, we will have, 30% or more of the Republicans and all the Democrats united together, and it'll be the far right Republicans that are out in the cold. Now, they'll have this weird quixotic president that'll probably want to pander to them, but is also not exactly one of them, and so that'll put them in the weaker position. And I think there's a truth to Jimmy Dore's argument in that regard. And if Trump does win, then that's the road we play. Now, having said that, my view on this is it's complicated, but just so as not to be coy, I mean, I've decided that if it mattered in my state, let's put it that way, I think Trump is dangerous enough that, yes, vote for Hillary, even though I think Jimmy Dore has a very good point about the overall position that it would leave progressivism in. And it's not because of things Sam seems to say, well, except for the Supreme Court, and I want to talk about that in a second. Let me write that down. My main concern with Trump is its effect on society, that we will have the kinds of attitudes that lead to civil war, that, like I talk to people about, let's split the country up in 2 or 3 or 5. They're like, no, that's terrible. We can't get divorced. And yet they hate half the country. Liberals and conservatives hate this other half. And it's like, where do you think that goes, you guys? You're going to have to find a sympathy or a sense of humor or something like that. Hey, I'm making a video. So now the problem with Sam's view, now let's just go to the biggest, most realistic fear, which is about the Supreme Court. Now, this is an argument that Democrats have always used, and they failed. They were supposed to be filibustering, Republican Supreme Court nominees and things like that. So they failed at that. It's an argument that's been used to scare liberals and progressives and feminists Roe v. Wade and whatnot for a long time, so much so that it's gotten quite old. On the other hand, that argument has gotten quite ripe because we have one that needs to be replaced right now and a good chance of a couple more in the next 4 or 8 years. So that is a credible fear and reason. On the other hand, Jimmy Dore to that would say, well, right, but if you have 30% of the Republicans and the Democrats all together, they can block the really crazy ones and get people in like this current guy, I forget his name, that's, more or less a moderate, it would appear. So I believe that, yeah, I think it's worth supporting Hillary in this case. But I also see my own position as aging or getting burnt, or yes, I agree with Sam. We saw how voting for Nader and da-da-da-da-da. But then again, was that really the issue? And did we not learn something? Yeah, it was bad, but we did learn something. And one thing we learned is that, fighting, look, we could get pretty close. We could get someone like Bernie Sanders that would be significantly different for the United States. Not internationally, we've seen there's been Bernie Sanders internationally. But for the United States, it would be a big first and a change, and we're pretty close to it. On the other hand, that goes to Sam's side of the argument that, of basic incrementalism. Is Hillary better than Trump? Yes. Is Hillary better than Bush? Yes. Is Hillary better than the first Bush? Yes. Is Hillary better than the Reagan? Yes. So as American presidents go, Hillary is an improvement. Now, I think it's important that we have people taking Jimmy Dore's position to put greater pressure on these people. And I think that they exist is necessary in order to get Hillary Clinton to leave something truly progressive in her legacy. So Jimmy Dore thinks by doing this, in 8 years or in 4 years, we could have an Elizabeth Warren type. Now, Elizabeth Warren will be starting to get pretty old too, but there's definitely people in the pipeline so that there's some younger people that have these same philosophies and are gaining the same kind of experience. So let's just use Elizabeth Warren, as a name, as an epitome, that we would get to that in 4 or 8 years instead of after Hillary, 8 years, and then, her a sort of undermining liberalism in favor of, Democratic Leadership Council kind of a conservo liberalism. That's it. That's my comment on that.